Kat, now it's not a good time to throw up on the ground.
I can hear that, dude.
Oh no. Oh man.
Here's the vomiter in question, everyone. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are back today for a little podcast style video. I'm joined with Trey on my left and Jolyn right below. They were in Photomedia with me, and they're my two worst enemies, but I decided to have them on just because it's always a good time. You guys maybe already know me from the last video, but we all just Trey and I graduated. Jonlin's still stuck in the realm of school due to COVID stuff. It was by choice. Um, but I'm a photo media major, and then I transferred in. I really enjoyed the program. I primarily do photography and video stuff, but I do dabble in the physical arts as well. You guys have seen all my videos. Trey, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, hey, what's up? How's it going, guys? I'm Trey. I just graduated as well. Um, I guess a lot of my stuff is like photo based. I kind of work with video a little bit. I've been trying to get into some motion graphic stuff lately and incorporating music as well into my work. So it's a lot of different things. I'm always just kind of following whatever interests me in the moment.
Jolyn,
My turn.
your
My
turn.
name is Jolene. I still have two quarters left, and I'm officially out of the program, so I'm actually TAing for the intro class this quarter. Um,
And when you
what
say
do I
the
do?
when you say the program, you mean for photo media, right?
Photomedia. Yeah, I'm
Gotcha.
officially graduated the program, but um, I do a lot of multimedia stuff, less photography, ironically, in this major. But I also have a illustration studio called Ito Illustration. Come follow me. Um, I do a lot of animal portraits there, and hopefully I can go to grad school for design in the future.
All right, awesome. So to kind of put ourselves in the shoes of someone who might be watching this and wanting to know more about the school, where were all you guys 4 years ago, and kind of how did you choose UW as a school to start off? Right, you can go ahead.
Are we talking like pre-college here? Like,
Yeah, so like let's say summer before you went to college, just after you graduated high school.
well, I mean, I got accepted to UW, so that I mean that was already in the cards there, right?
Hmm.
I, uh, yeah, I was just kind of chilling as a graduated high school senior does, and I was working like a job as a doing like marketing assisting or whatever for a YMCA and making videos for them. So I was kind of already on that path. What was interesting though is I headed into UW, no idea what the photomedia program was. It wasn't even on my radar. I was thinking I was going to do international studies or I guess computer science was the original thing, as many people do, but that faded away quickly once I realized how insane it is at the old UW. So
I didn't even know that. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
crazy.
it was a very small like that was like
Fraction of
originally I was
hope.
like I could do it. Yeah, I could do that. I took a CS class my senior year of high school. But yeah.
I took a CS class my junior year of high school and I got a D, so that's definitely what I knew I didn't want to
Same.
do.
Oof.
Jolyn, what about you?
Oh, so 4 years ago, I was in Taiwan. I went to a bilingual high school, so basically the premise of the whole class is to study abroad, basically in United States. And I remember I applied for 16 schools, half art school and half like regular college. Like UW goes under that umbrella. Um, yeah, same. I didn't know photo media was a thing. I came in like undecided, took a epidemiology class my first quarter here. I almost failed that because we were learning about STDs. And I was like, oh, that's not really my thing, huh? Um, and then I wanted to do design, so I took the intro to design class, almost got in, didn't get in. Um, and Photomedia. I took photo my second quarter here, so I was like, that sounds interesting. Didn't know how hard it would be to apply in to get in, but here we are.
Here we are indeed. For myself, I pretty much knew I was always going to do the transfer route just because that's what my mom did, and it'd be a good way to save money. So for me, that was a good time to experiment around and see what I would want to do for school. I was kind of considering maybe business or communications. And I think when I was at community college, I realized like if I'm gonna go to school or for something, I wanted to do something that I was gonna enjoy at least because I know I hated school otherwise, and I know most people don't even go to school or get a job for what their major is. So I figured might as well have fun while I'm doing it, and kind of just happenstance along the photomedia major because it just kind of it seemed like the best fit because I wanted to do something creative or video related, and I knew I liked taking photos from classes in high school and community college, so that seemed like a good route for me to do a whole bunch of things that I was interested in, and I guess photo media ended up being even better for me because there was really no limit on what you could do. But yeah, that's where I was 4 years ago, and definitely knew I was going to transfer, and I think it ended up being the right choice. Um, what are you guys doing now?
I'll start, I guess. I'm just kind of applying to jobs, because of this whole situation and stuff. But when I'm not doing that, I'm just kind of trying to work on individual skills, like as I said earlier, motion graphics. Trying to become a master of After Effects, and yeah, that's kind of what's going on.
For anyone watching in the future, this was filmed during the 2020 pandemic, so Ray and I graduated during that at least, and then for Jolyn, she would have graduated, but being an international student makes more sense to wait a little bit longer in the job market than for her to go to grad school. She can expand on that later, but for future context for anyone watching this after the fact. And then Jolyn, what are you up to currently?
I'll do a lot of applications and like portfolio buildings, but that part's fine. Um, Still working on the illustration works for my studio and taking cases and yeah. I mean, at this point you can only like take one step at a time, I guess. Like planning isn't
True.
really yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same for myself. Just trying to keep busy doing whatever. The video you're watching right now is part of like a 30-day video challenge where I want to make a video every day. So I'm just finding ways to stay creative, and kind of keep working towards something. And then I'm just kind of casually applying for jobs, not necessarily things in the creative field, but I just like learning, so I'm down for whatever. Um, so kind of then reflecting back, think back to both high school you and now you. Would high school you be proud of where you are now?
I think so. Because I guess I've done a lot of the things that I kind of would dream about when I was in high school. Like I guess being able to make cool things that interest me, and working in some capacity in doing video stuff. Because I've had being in college has led, or being at UW has, I guess, allowed me to work in a lot of different video related jobs. Because when I was growing up, I always was like, I want to be a filmmaker, blah blah blah, stuff like that. So it's kind of a step in the path to the way there. It's a lot of like sports related stuff, which I don't really care about so much, but it's kind of that way, I guess, the stepping stone sort of deal there. Um, so I think, yeah, if I was to go back and ask my high school self, or talk to my high school self, he would probably be like, "Well, that's pretty cool, dude. Like, sick."
I feel like
Good
for
deal.
me I feel like for me it's such a different picture because I was in Taiwan and I was like so not used to the American scene when I first got here. So it's really hard to say what I imagined myself to be when I was in high school because I didn't even know what to put on the list in a way. But I would say so. I would say yes because one of my biggest like fear in high school is for me to stop doing art when I was in college or like in the real life in a way. And seeing that I'm still passionate about it and still doing it, it's kind of a relief. And I feel like I'm not like disappointing my young self that was so passionate in the past. Yeah.
Hmm. I definitely agree with that a lot. Where it's like, I think if I did go the route, if I only did communications or business, I think I would be more disappointed in myself. Where even though it is a good accomplishment, I don't think I would have followed what I wanted to actually do. So in that same way, I think I'm proud of myself. I know I've like grown a lot through going to the school as well. I don't know if I would have gotten the same experience otherwise. I don't know if you guys felt like because of the school you are now proud of yourself, or you think if you were to do anything else over 4 years, if you'd be proud of yourself too. Um, so I don't know if like school was a necessary component to me growing, but I definitely know in the life that I have lived, it played a pivotal role. But I don't know if I just went to community college, if I still would have forced myself to grow, or I don't know what that turning point was. But for me, at least, I would say, well, it definitely made me proud of who I am now. Um, let's see. Next, over that, um, we sort of talked about this, but it's like, why did you pick Photomedia specifically? And we like lightly touched on it, but um, I think this is like one of the reasons why I wanted to do the interview is because uh, I don't know if we could answer why this major specifically. Because me personally, I think I vaguely tried to read about it, and you don't really know what it was or what it entailed or how it could be helpful for you. So I don't know if like the information out there is enough to even like support me choosing this, but more like lucky that I got into it. What do you guys think about why you picked this?
Mm, I feel like for me, it's more of like a process of elimination because I know I want to do art. I know I couldn't get into design because I got kicked out. Um, I know I don't want to do painting because I want to do something more towards the digital market for my future. But I still want to be in a realm of like the fine art career. So photo media just sounds like a perfect choice. At least um, excluding the idea of like transferring after my last year. Yeah.
I think I'm in that similar boat of process of elimination. Um, because I just took like so many different kinds of classes like for the first year of that I was at UW. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna take. Let's see, what did I do? I took the international studies class, which was like originally my intent, and then it was like probably the hardest class I've ever taken at UW. And it was like it was certainly interesting to me, but it was I guess just it didn't appeal to me after I had finished the class because I was like, oh, that was not at all the vibe for me. Um, and I took like an economics class. I did well at it, but I didn't really like it that much. And then I took a week of calculus, and I was like, I'm out of here. Fuck this shit. Like, I basically didn't take calculus for like the first quarter of UW, and I was like, I'm just gonna take calculus so I can get into fucking one of these things like economics. I'm gonna jump on that or something. And I took a week of it, and I was like, I don't know anything anymore. So I guess that's out. And I think yeah, I took Photomedia like spring quarter and or the intro class, and I was really yeah, there was just something about it that really appealed to me. I guess it felt like it was challenging me in a way that felt more fulfilling than any other type of educational work that I've ever done. There's just kind of a lot of satisfaction in being able to express your ideas in a creative way like that. Um, and photography, I guess, just has always been something that I find really accessible and really great for communicating, certain ideas.
Hmm. I agree with a lot of what you guys have both said. I would say the I don't know if it was necessarily like process of elimination of like not necessarily being able to get into other things. I didn't try and get into design. I don't really know if I could have done that, but I think it was more eliminating like, okay, what's gonna maximize my enjoyment while I'm at this school, and then like what can like let me flourish the most. Because I didn't necessarily like the structure of school otherwise, and I think that's interesting, Trey, that you brought up like the difficulty of the other classes. Um, how would you guys say like how hard do you think Photomedia was as a major, or compared to like the rest of your experience at UW?
Wait, could you say
Just
that
like,
again?
How difficult is Photomedia as a major compared to the rest of your experience at UW, or just in general?
like it's challenging in a different way, just because the program gave you so much freedom to it. It is like if you fail, it's totally on you. That kind of sense. It's not like they assign you an assignment and it is like 2 out of 3 or something. It is like they gave you so much freedom to do whatever you want to do, and only told you like a time limit, like a rough time limit. That I feel like the amount of freedom is what makes it challenging. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It like because every other or almost every other path, you could take in college is has more of like a linear sort of
Mm-hmm.
flow to it. And photomedia, it's like you're kind of just walking into this big like warehouse of ideas, and you have to. It's like all on you to be able to like pick and choose what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Um, and so it requires a yeah rewiring your brain in a little bit. Um, versus like, oh, I just have to write, a bunch of essays and, crunch some numbers or something. So it's challenging in a way of, are you self motivated, and are you, what ideas can you bring to the table using all these different factors or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like,
Oh, you can go.
oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Because like I feel like in high school and stuff, even like my first year here, there's always like a correct answer for every course when you're like taking tests or even for an essay. There's always like an expectation of what you want your thesis towards. But for photo media, it's so open in a way that I think it goes back to like, are you proud of the work that you've done, and like, are you proud of yourself after this assignment ends? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Where it's like you are gonna be what decides if the class is hard or not. Um, and like you could you could put in like 1 hour a quarter, and you could like get a product that you can get an A on. Like I don't think your GPA in these classes at all reflect like your success in the art, because like I think every piece of art that I made at least was for myself, or maybe for my peers a little bit, but like if you aren't making something that you're proud of, you can succeed in the course, but you can fail for yourself. And I think there's definitely one or two pieces that I felt like I failed to some degree, but I got like a, you know, what would effectively be like an A on it just because I completed making an assignment for that quarter. But like I thought the end product was so trash that I think I probably felt worse about what I did on that piece than I would like getting a bad grade on a test, because I think I put more of myself into a piece of art than I would writing an essay. So I think overall, like on a technical level, the major is very easy because you can like the bar is relatively low for like what a teacher would accept, but on like an emotional level, like And I guess there's some people that like feel terrible if they fail a test or whatever. That's not me, but um, if I feel a lot worse if I fail myself when I'm creating something. So I guess that's like the harder barrier for entry. Like if you have higher standards for yourself, this class can be difficult because you'll push yourself to do something further out of your comfort zone. But it's certainly like not as competitive as other majors if that is a thing that other people are thinking. Um, so, what did you guys think of the structure of the courses, and do you think that was helpful or a hindrance? And we kind of spoke about how that made it harder sometimes, but the overall structure for photo media, what did that look like for you guys, if anything?
I think it certainly frustrated me a lot of the time. Sometimes with yeah, like the lack of because you get so like yeah, you get so used to in like other schools literally um, of a distinct plan for the quarter. It's like we have all these different assignments that we're going to do, and we're going to do all these different things on this exact day. With Photomedia, you could show up one day and it's like, all right, we're gonna like take a trip down to uh, the black market or something. We're gonna go to, or I guess the black market's the wrong word, but it's like a marketplace or whatever. Um, that's a whole story in itself.
For
But
prostitutes and stuff, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it can really throw you for a loop, I guess, if you're really really looking for distinctive structure. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think I learned to like it after a little while as somebody who's really used to like just the very like rigid structure of school.
Yeah, it definitely takes some time for people to get used to it. Definitely for me. I remember. Okay, just as an example, we spent 3 classes playing chess and random videos without sounds. That's just like I feel like that is kind of photo media summing up. Um,
Yep.
but it's really up to you, like as a student, to think of, because like I feel like as an artist, especially in critiques, we were told to have trust in other artists and their artwork. So I feel like in the same kind of idea, it is kind of our responsibility as students to trust there has to be a meaning that our professor is doing this to us, instead of like I was definitely frustrated at first and be like, what the fuck's going on? Like I have no idea why I'm doing this. I don't even know how to play chess. Um but you have to try to dig in and see like why are we doing this and what is the expectation that we should take from this. And I feel like once you cross that bridge, you get to like enjoy everything a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, for everyone watching at home, why this question is kind of a joke is that there's very little structure to photo media classes. It really depends on the teacher. As we were saying, like sometimes you can go in and you'll literally just do whatever, or you're just hanging out, or maybe you'll put some arts and crafts together, or you'll go around and talk about something, or uh, you'll create like an art project in one day, or sometimes you just have work days. Yeah, other times you'll go on like a field trip, or just play games, or you'll watch a movie or something. So it's like super up in the air. A lot of times you'll have projects that are running through the quarter, and what you do in class doesn't always relate to what you're doing for your project. Um, so if you're curious about the structure, it's not very apparent a lot of the time, and you have to be super open to flexibility. Another thing I would say is there are times where you will have like exhibitions, and I think the thing that is most consistent is you'll have, if you're doing a larger project, at least 2 or 3 critiques on that one work. So you will meet and be able to talk about the work with your peers. So that is like the one thing that's consistent, I think, is like having critiques throughout the quarter. So definitely be prepared to talk about the work you're doing, and people will check in on it. Um, people don't always make changes between the critiques. Uh, but you're supposed to. So that's the one thing that kind of like moves along uh, the quarter. But that's vaguely what the structure looks like. But it leads to all sorts of ideas and concepts that you wouldn't get through regular classes, and I am happy that that happened from my perspective at least, because that's why I wanted to do something different. I wanted to have fun in class, so that worked out well for me. Um, but yeah, structures all over the place. And then to get more antiquated with you guys, what is your favorite assignment you were given, and why do you like how your project turned out? Or one that you're most proud of, either one of those.
Assignment asks for having a prompt because that
Um,
eliminates a lot.
I guess okay. Favorite assignment isn't very good because it's more a lot of times when you're assigned to do something in Photomedia, you're just told, okay, you have a project due at the end of the quarter, and we're gonna put it up here. Make something to fill that space. That's what it is like 90% of the time, I'd say. Um, so what is your favorite project that you have done out of any time here, or project that you're most proud of, not necessarily like assignment?
I can go first.
And it
Yeah, I'm still thinking.
um, I have one project and one assignment. As for there's like a prompt. So for project, I really like my body clock. Um, I don't know. Are you gonna put in some pictures or
Yeah,
something? But
I
it's
can
like,
put photos up for
yeah, it's
these.
really hard to explain. But it being very memorable for me in the sense that it's something that's really close to me. Like I got my inspiration from myself, and I feel like a lot of those times it takes a lot of time to process it, not alone make a work out of it, because you're talking about your own feelings and your own like emotions and stuff. Um, and I really like the end product, so that's a plus. And for assignment, I really enjoy the loitering video project. I think it's really fun. I didn't know what the word loitering means before that project, so um, yeah. We have a lot of interesting professors, and I feel like for the few times that they do give us like assignment, like prompts, they're usually very confusing, and even more so for our own projects. So yeah.
I think, yeah, the loitering would definitely take the cake for me. It kind of edges out a few things that I was, or other things I was thinking of, like that. At
Sorry,
least
wait.
for
What
like,
did you say? You cut out for a second there.
oh, the loitering
Yeah,
project.
yeah.
Um, yeah, like that one. Like in hindsight, like it really forced me out of my comfort zone. At least the way that I went about doing it, because like the gist of the assignment was that we just had to loiter in like public spaces, right? Like for quite a while. Um, and so I literally just walked into like different areas of downtown Seattle and just like sat around and set my camera up, like, sometimes like 20 feet away from me, which is like kind of a scary thing to do in public areas because you worry that somebody is going to just like, walk away with it or something. And then also just being somebody who is kind of like introverted and kind of likes to hang out not in public areas so much, it was, that challenged me as well. um and yeah, like I was really uncomfortable at the moment, but like looking back on it, it's like those experiences that and those things that make you step out of your comfort zone to make something really freaking cool, and that you're satisfied with. That's like weird, you know. um I think that I'll always cherish that in my heart.
That's the favorite one that you've made as well, or your
i
favorite
think
assignment.
I think so, because that one I also got to. That was the first time I kind of tried to dabble in including like music that I've made within a
Mm.
video as well. So it kind of touched on all the bases that are still very important to me. So it's kind of very like foundational, I guess.
That's interesting. Yeah, that was definitely a fun assignment. I think my even though this was like a self-assigned one, I liked the assignment of the Friends of Fashion one that I did for myself. I think it just seemed like such a daunting task to try and like message everyone on this larger scale and then go and film with them. So um, I I don't think that end product is my favorite, but I liked the process of it and how busy it kept me and gave me a lot to think about. And there were so many moving parts. And so in a way, it was like a 12, 13-person collaboration that I don't think I've done in any other capacity, something like that. So that was fun as an assignment. And then I think the one that I'm most proud of is probably the raincoat one, where that was like the original or like the kind of the origin for the Friends of Fashion one. But um, I just think like every point in that project landed really well, and I like how aesthetically it turned out, and the process was nice and easy. Like I was only out in Seattle for like 2 hours, and I just had to spend time printing, so it was like a fairly like simple and I think it ended up being elegant project, but um, at the same time there was like a good comedic factor too. So it was very goofy, and I think it translated my personality of both myself and my artwork, if there's even any difference in that, well into a piece. So that was mine. And then least favorite assignment or assignment that you just hated doing, if anything. And if not assignment, maybe day in class that wasn't fun at all, or just something that you hated that you had to endure through this major.
Well, I mean, so there's one that I think if you ask everybody in the class, like you're always going to get the initial response is when we had to use pinhole cameras our sophomore year. Um, like I think I hated that. I mean it was cool. The idea of it was cool, but the process of doing it was so painstaking and like more trial and error than than anybody really wants to get. Especially with like I don't know, there was a method of different ways that people did it, and a lot of us kind of used these kits that we bought that were just oh yeah, it just sucked. It just fucking sucked, dude. Like I hated that shit. I'm not gonna lie.
uh,
Oh God. I don't know if I hated any specific assignments or like projects I've done. I know when the critique gets really boring and silent and still, I just want to get out of here. So I'll like chug coffee and go to the bathroom for like 10 minutes. But yeah, it's like I don't know. It frustrates me. It frustrates me seeing people not putting efforts in their work. Just gonna put
mm,
it there. Yeah, it's I don't even know where the frustration came from. Um, yeah, maybe you guys can help me fill in on that, but it just frustrates me. I get angry.
yeah, I feel that. I was not here for the pinhole cameras, unfortunately. I did them when
Bummer.
I did them at community college, and I actually enjoyed it, but maybe we just did something a lot different than your guys. Um, see, I may have to think a little bit deeper about most hated moment. Um, I Okay, this is a stretch just because I'm not really a fan of reading, but um, a senior year fall when we were like assigned to do a whole bunch of readings, some of the readings were interesting, but um, I guess I felt like after the my junior year where I first got to experience Photomedia, I felt like I was out of the woods for having to do reading, at least stuff in my major, and so just being assigned to do reading felt like a major drag to me, just because I just wanted to go and make art, and I knew that we weren't going to get anything out of talking about theory because our class is really not that advanced. Um, so that maybe was like more of an annoyance for me than anything. I'd have to think deeper about if there's something I super hate, but it does kind of like the pet peeve of mine where I I did want to go to UW because I what I've understood was like it was super competitive, and I thought that'd be really cool to see in art infrastructure because like I want to see people's creativity on show and their different talents and techniques come into play, and especially for something like photo or video where that's something that I felt confident in. So like I feel like I could have some friendly competition at least. Um, there was no competition. It was a cakewalk, man. I swept the floor. It was super easy to be the best person ever. But um, I say that really only like half sarcastically because like I don't think there were a lot of people in class that like wanted to try and be better than anyone else for the work that they were putting in the class. I think there are people in the class that are way better at networking than me or actually finding a job out of college than me. And there certainly are better artists than me, but I almost felt offended sometimes when like the class didn't seem like a priority for people, and I can understand that. Like it doesn't have to be your pride and joy, and there were points where I kind of phoned it in as well, but um, I think it would have made me feel more confident in my choice of the major if other people felt like they were like giving their 110% for every assignment, because I think that would push me further as well. So I think you do have to be like fairly individually driven, because if your only goal in a class is like just do better than everyone else, then you're never gonna push yourself to anywhere further. At least in the group that we were in, and that's not to dunk on anyone. I think there were a whole bunch of great pieces of art that we saw throughout the 2 years that I was there, um, but I think it would have been cool to see more innovation, less collages and more something crazy. But um, yeah, that's all I have to say there. One of the things that made Photomedia for me at least was the people. Um, even no matter how much we have gossiped about our peers or thrown shade on them through lovingness, I really enjoyed everyone in class, and I think everyone added to the discussion in some way or another, or at least we were able to give different ideas. Everyone was fairly different. We kind of had our cliques and stuff, um, but I think at least meeting you guys and Takai and Iran and everyone else made the class really interesting, and being able to hang out with people outside of class was a pretty new thing for me. So, two thumbs up for that. Um, the way I met Trey was kind of first or second day, the junior year. So, as soon as I was here, Trey talked about going down to the black market prostitution center as a field trip during Photomedia, and I was super in the dark. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't super bother to research about Photomedia, and I didn't know what was going to come further out of that research, anyways. And I definitely would not have learned anything. Yeah, I could only experience through the class, but yeah, we our teacher just told us we were gonna go to this location in South Seattle, and if you put that on Google Maps, it's just like an unmarked location, um, kind of just like off the light rail, kind of by like all the stadiums. Um, so he told us to go down there and take the light rail or Uber, whatever you want. Um, and so we headed down, and then I was trying to talk to people. A, because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna spend a lot of money on school, I need to network. That's like the number one thing everyone says. Like you gotta talk to people. And I also wanted to know what was going on because I knew that everyone else at least had taken a quarter of Photomedia before, but I was like, okay, these guys probably know the ropes. I could ask someone at least. And so I was just kind of chatting around with the people that I was walking with, and I definitely talked to Trey a little bit, and then we all walked over to the light rail, and then I sat next to Trey on the light rail, and we were chatting and having a good time. Um, I think question you have to ask everyone is like, are you a gamer or not? And I think we were talking about video games or something, and one of them that I just like to mention because it's very avant-garde and underground, and it's a game called Tag Pro. And Trey has a good friend named Goofy Goober who plays Tag Pro, and I knew Goofy Goober through Tag Pro as well. So I was like, okay, we have an automatic ball brother bond there going. Oh,
The
I
triple B.
I didn't even mean to make that's a double entendre for those watching at home. Um, but anyways, I think that that's what like solidified. Okay, we're on the same page here, and I think also everyone not knowing and being in the dark gave us a sense of um like being on the same page. Like we were all lost together. Or, like you know how people become friends through commonly hitting something. That's how Jolyn and I became friends. But you know how people are like, oh, the enemy of my enemy is my friend or whatever. I think that was the same, but in a positive way of like we were all in the dark, and so we all felt like we had to work together to figure out what was happening. So I think, given so many weird circumstances, I think our class bond was really strong that quarter. Even though I was new, I felt like we were all kind of experiencing this new unturned stone every day. So it was all kind of history from there. You can, you know, uh, typically how you sit in Photomedia is just everyone sits around like one long table, like a the old banquet. So you can just kind of sit next to whoever you want to talk to that day and hang out and talk before class, and then give people feedback and stuff. So that's how I met Trey, and then for Jolyn, I mean, the first time I met her outside of class was at a rave that one of our peers, Ivan, wanted me to go to because
Right.
I was kind of becoming friends with Ivan as well, but he was only there for the first quarter. Um, so yeah, we we met up there, and that was the first and only rave I've gone to. But it was certainly fun. It was an experience. I got a lot of steps in that day, so I'm staying active. Um, but that was interesting. And then I think it was only until like partway through winter quarter that we just started talking about each other's art more, and we had the common interest of going out to thrift. So I'd say like whatever way you could find stuff in common, whether that's thrifting or games or just going out and taking photos with people. Um, that's like a great way to build bonds with your peers because like taking photos is such a more social activity than like any other major really. Like you can go like you could literally ask anyone in the class if you want to go out and take photos, and most people would say yes. um where like I that's a lot harder to have that common interest in any other major. I think like, oh, you guys want to go out and do business together, bro? Or, I don't know what people in other majors do, but like definitely use photos as an excuse to go hang out with anyone in the class. But that's how I met these two goons, and we've been good friends ever since, I'd say. Go to the driving range with your friends. That's always fun. Um, but that's those are my favorite stories of how I met my two good friends from Photo Media. And then the floor is your guys' for any favorite stories or things that you've wanted to share from this class.
Hmm. I think it was this moment in winter quarter junior year, um, when we had to make it was a day when we had to make site specific artwork. I don't know if you guys remember that day. um, do we
uh,
also do we not want to name teachers? This is just a or are we like what are your what's your thing on that one?
I've kind of been not just maybe to like help increase some of the longevity of this, where it's like,
Right.
oh, I don't want to instantly date it by not being here, but I think even even if all the teachers psych it out, they definitely have their own unique twists on everything, and I don't think it would be the same without them. but I think it'd be hard to see in the future the major changing that much unless it became really regimented and be like, oh, today's going to be like a how to make a social media Instagram page and how to grow that. Like, I think it would stay in this realm for a while at least. So I hope
Yeah.
they don't hire really boring people and it stays creative and fun. But we'll keep the teachers anonymous for now. But
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to find out who they are.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I guess our instructor that quarter, she had us on a like do a day where we needed to make a site specific artwork using just like only readily available materials to us, like just within the art building. Um, and Matt and I partnered up. I guess we all kind of had to partner up, and we just made like the most like dog shit, like horrible looking like fucking paper sculpture, like of a bunch of tree, like a big tree with some other trees around it, and made like a big paper airplane. And yeah, we spent like we we spent like almost like 2 hours of that class period just like laughing and like just bouncing off stupid ideas for how we could explain it. Because that's I guess part of the thing with art is how do you you know you presentation is in itself like an art. Um, and so once it finally came to when we were going around the the everybody's different artworks, like there was all sorts of different things. Like some people found like a chair in a hallway and decorated it with like a bunch of different like was it like graffiti stuff? I can't remember exactly, but
Yeah.
some people, what? Is that a no?
I was saying, yeah, but
No. Okay.
continue.
Well, um, some other people made like something out of like the bunch of chess pieces, which kind of really came full circle from having played chess the quarter before. But they'd made that as like a certain comment on inclusivity, I think, uh, diversity or whatever. And then we like our set up our little paper sculptures outside the window of the room that we were in. And Matt like just out of nowhere like had this whole like speech on like environmentalism prepared, and just like he was just going and going and going. And the most perfect moment was when he held the paper airplane up that a plane flew over. So we had the noise of the plane. It was like perfectly timed, and he was like, "And the plane, it's coming through right now. This symbolizes the like." I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was like the funniest thing like I've ever experienced in that class. Was just the perfect timing of an actual airplane flying over when you were just like holding a paper airplane like gonna crash it into a tree, I guess, as some sort of comment on environmentalism.
So the the background of how this was a site specific work is that I think the idea was your the carbon footprint of flying in a plane across the US is the same as like a year's worth of driving or something like that. I don't remember the exact statistic, but that was just something that we like looked up to base our project on. And then what I wanted to do was like show that we are blind to seeing the impact that we have. And so I had the entire class was inside, and then I was standing outside on the other side of a window, and the blinds were down. So I was giving this speech through the window just to the wall outside and just hoping everyone could hear me loud enough. And I was like, and now I'm going to fly this paper airplane across over here into the trees to symbolize our blindness where the action happens but we do not see it. Like, watch the impact you have on the environment. And I think that's why I threw into the trees. That's the impact on the environment. And
I
then
forgot.
yeah,
I forgot nobody could see that. Like that
yeah,
was.
and so
I left that.
no one could see that part, and I was just giving the speech to the wall outside, and then yeah, the airplane flew by at the perfect time for when I got to the speech. So I was like, meow, as I was like throwing it, and then everyone came outside to see the plane itself and the sculpture. It could have been even better that if we had no sculpture, like everything was just invisible. Um,
Yes.
but I remember that day. That was quite funny. And I remember every time I do a presentation, I would tell Jolene if she wasn't there, like, "Oh, that was like the best presentation ever, and you missed it." I say that every time because I think I one up myself every time. they probably all suck, but I have fun speaking in that class. That's definitely one thing you have to do in Photomedia a lot is like be able to speak about your work a lot and just people don't always ask you like difficult questions, but just be prepared to ask whatever and you got to be really flexible, but
Mm.
um that's quite a fun day, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess one more thing to add is like just the stupid shenanigans that you and I got into like the last quarter with Zoom and all that. Like nobody really. I mean, maybe some people noticed, but we were just being like goofballs, and it was like that was what brightened up like having my last quarter at UW fucking seized by the pandemic or whatever. It was just like Matt and I doing like stupid Zoom like camera jokes or like
Oh,
just
I wish I had the soundboard for that class. That would have been so funny. Where like, yeah, Rebecca asked a question and be like, "Hi, Trey would like to answer this." Or, uh, there's so much potential in these classes for stupid things. Try and have as much fun as you can. That's what I say for these
yeah,
classes.
make the most of it.
Certainly. Any fun
My
stories for
turn.
you, Jillian? Yeah.
Oh, mine is definitely not as fun as you guys's. I just I just remember my first quarter in the program, and then we're not naming names, right? But the professor that was teaching that class was like talking to us, and I was like, oh my god, this is so serious. Like I'm in a major now. Like this is like the real deal. And then she got distracted by a squirrel outside, like mid speech. She was like talking, squirrels, and then she forgot what she was talking about. And I was just like, a sophomore, I was sitting in my class and I was like, what did I got myself into? Like this one, and she was a demon of the program at the time too. And I was like, oh wow, this is Photomedia. But that was definitely, I told all my roommates about it. That was definitely like one of the aha moments, I can say.
Um, Real quick, I don't know if this is a favorite moment of mine, but I believe this happened with the same teacher Jolyn was just talking about. But we had a peer who made some rather controversial pieces of work, and we were putting them up downstairs, and we were doing critique later that day. And when we got to his piece, that was like the most drama I've ever seen in at least like an art class, where like it was very controversial. I won't even say what it was, just to keep you guys in suspense. Maybe one of your peers will make something very dramatic, but that was very entertaining for me. Trey does not like confrontation at all, so watching him squirm was funny. And then I don't remember your reaction, Jolene, but I was just very entertained during that situation.
That was very
Um,
uncomfortable.
it was
It
it
was
was it was
so
very
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. But it was weird. Um, but I would say if there was is one lesson from that, like don't be afraid to like just push the envelope or push it as far as you can, um, just to see what happens and see what people's reaction are. I think you can do things tastelessly, but I think if there aren't people out there pushing art to be controversial or weird, then I don't know if we're really making art. So, say if you have a really crazy idea that involves something super explicit, just go for it and see what happens. Um, that's bad advice to foster on, so you didn't get that from me, but really just go for it. Okay, and then all these other ones are just kind of quick questions that I looked up online that people may be asking about. So people may ask like, what's the average class size? I think our cohort was always like 17 people or less, so pretty small. How did you guys feel about that size? Did you ever wish there were only like 10 people or 5 people, or like if there were like 10 or 15 more people, do you think that would have made it a lot less personable, or was that like the right amount?
I th- I think it was the right amount. Um, Maybe like I think 20 is like the sweet spot because I think that's what we started out with, and then naturally you'll always have people that
Yeah.
kind of decide that it's not for them. But it's like it's a good enough like diversity of ideas and people when you have that amount.
For me, yeah, I think we started off like 20 or 22 or something. Like still a little bit more than what we ended up with, but still a decently small size class. But one thing I'll recommend is to take other art courses outside of the Photomedia course, because that way you get to meet more people in the art industry that's doing sometimes different, sometimes similar things as you do, and the critiques definitely gets a little bit more predictable. As you know, like all the students that you have been classmates with for 3 years basically. So it definitely helps to like freshen up the palette in a way to like go to different art courses. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because I mean, I think it's nice also going and doing classes with people who aren't in the major as well. Where I was like in a sculpture class, and it was interesting to get feedback from people who are like CS majors or business majors, where they may not think in the same ways, or they have different priorities, so they'll recommend different things. So, um, always good to get different viewpoints. But I think the class size worked well. Maybe sometimes it felt kind of big during critiques when you spend like the entire 3 hours just talking about stuff, and it super drags on, and it's not helpful for people later in the class because they're getting terrible feedback because no one wants to say anything because they're tired. But I think overall the class size works well, about 17 to 20 people, and you'll get new people cycling in and out too. People drop the major, or new people transfer in, or what have you. Next one that we kind of just went over, but people might ask, like, what if I'm only taking classes in one department? Can I still use other studios in the school? That's pretty much always a yes. You'll have to ask about things all the time, but um, you can use the woodworking studio typically. Um, you're maybe not always. You guys could probably speak on prints more than I can because I've never did prints, but how was your guys' experience like using different facilities within the School of Art, even though you were only a photo media major?
I feel like the art department in general is really free, and they really try their best to help out their students. Like in my experience with the department and comparing to other departments, they really tried to help you reach your goal in every possible ways. That really includes in like whatever you want access in. If you talk to the right person, they'll try their best to get you whatever you need to succeed in your project. So
Did you have about the same experience, Trey? Like you were really never held back by the resources of the school. Do you feel like you were pretty much able to do everything that you wanted with what you were provided with?
Yeah, I think so. It's really, I mean, it's just really chill. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's everybody's just wants to help you out. Everybody wants to help each other out. I think the important thing is just to not be shy, I guess, to use
mhm.
them, which I think I struggle with that problem a lot sometimes, and I always have. But I think generally I, made the most of the resources that were available. I think the photo studio is something, once you get that access, like use that as much as possible because it's, you got all those lights and everything. It's great. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. Um, yeah, if you don't know where to start, definitely just ask your teacher, and then they can guide you from there. But there are so many cameras and lights for you to use, printing tools, both like paper printing or doing like ink printing or cutting wood, or like the spray paint rooms, um, like sound studio. Like there's probably a resource that UW has, even though the art school is not the most funded thing. Like there's still heaps and heaps of equipment, um, and like the maker spaces too. Even though that aren't those aren't directly part of the art department, like you can certainly make art with those. So like try and use every resource like as soon as you can, because you will not have time to use all of them. Um, what is the campus life like, and do you feel like you were able to still mingle with people in other departments, or how was, either for those who lived on campus, how was that cool, or living off campus? What was your guys' experience, more just UW in general, but being an art student? And if you want to talk about any like clubs or anything like that as well, that'd be a good one for this topic too.
I feel
Hmm.
like as cliche as it sounds, like it's like the old saying, it really is what you make it, like you what you want it to be. And I feel like it like friend group wise, you definitely meet a lot less people like in rotation once you get into a major because you just like go to class with the same group of people. But there's definitely other ways to reach out to people and like to like widen your friend group. Um, but the question is, do you want to do that? Because personally, I really don't feel the need. I have enough friends, in my opinion, for me to not feel lonely or left out or anything. And I'm really thankful for that. But it definitely is possible. Um, I don't think it being an art student makes it different. Um, Instead, I feel like being an art student makes it easier because we have such a small group of people in our class. So for example, my roommate is a psych major, and her major, like her year is like has like 200 people in her major. So it's like basically impossible to actually get to know people, but just because we go to like the same class every quarter, it's really easy to like at least you know the person's name, you know.
Mm. I would I would say that's like I think I learned the importance of a club. I don't know if I've actually been a part of a club in any capacity, but like certainly having that consistency of meeting the same people again and again every week for over a span of time, like you're almost forced to become friends with people because you're going to be hanging out with them, and it's unless you like actively want to be alone, you almost will like become part of a group in some sort of capacity. Um, so I think if I wanted to expand further, I could have joined a club, but I think the major felt like a club enough for me, and I was satisfied with the people I was hanging out with. I didn't pursue that any further. But if you do have a really big major, I would definitely try and find a club of people with similar interests because that is like you're bound to create friendships over time just because um, you're like forced to be together through a common interest. So um, Photomedia can be your club, but if you want to seek more in a different department, a club theoretically sounds good, but I've never done one personally. But as that,
Yeah. I think, yeah, I guess I have the experience of being in a small major like Photomedia and doing clubs, and I would definitely recommend that to people. I guess like if you have a certain interest in something and there's a club that represents that on campus, like absolutely go for it because, um, yeah, I mean it's just like why not? That's kind of how I had to tell myself about it, or to tell myself like there was a filmmaking club that I was in for quite a while because I was interested in that, and all those people were pretty cool. So I joined that, and I did college radio, which you can it's kind of a club, I guess. Um, and like the only person stopping me from doing that was me, like for a little while, because I was like, oh, I don't really have any good radio show ideas, but just do it anyways, just apply anyways with what you have, and you'll never know. Like, you'll get some good pointers on things a lot of the time. Um, but yeah, it's just do clubs, do whatever you want, and make the most of the experience. I think being an art student certainly makes the experience a bit more interesting, especially when you meet somebody who's like in a more like traditional like school or whatever, and they ask you like, oh, what are you studying? And I'm like, oh, I studied photomedia, and then instantly it's just like, what is that? So you have all this power to to be able to like spin whatever your major is to them, and it kind of makes for really interesting conversation because people are just like, most people don't know anything about being an art major. So
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, good points. Some people might ask, like, are the professors working artists? And I think pretty much all of them are. Some of them like went to different countries to do exhibitions, and so we had like a substitute teacher for a quarter, and that guy was a working artist too. Um, so I like all the teachers stuff we know, can I say that? All the teachers know what they're talking about? Sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're just kind of saying whatever they want to. But I think art is very, obviously, art's very opinionated, but um, they all know how to give feedback and they've all kind of gone through that gauntlet before. So I do put a lot of trust in what they say, and you don't have to incorporate that every time. But I think they have a lot of knowledge that they try and display through the actions of the classes, but I don't think they'll always tell you. I don't think I ever gotten feedback how I will like an essay of like, oh, correct this and then fix this and then adjust this. I know you guys have talked about like being forced to rearrange stuff before. I didn't experience that in class, but um, like the feedback you get will be up to your interpretation sometimes. And if you want to push further, and I think you can get more detailed feedback, but a lot of the times you'll be asked like, okay, what's your message, or where do you want to go further with this, or what's the purpose of doing it? And you won't really get hooked up on the details too much. Um, you guys feel like the experience that our teachers had was purposeful in your learning experience, or
I think I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, of like you kind of have to trust that they have a purpose behind what they do, unless or else you'll just be like really angry and frustrated the whole time. Um, but once you do, you can actually enjoy it because I do think that all of our professors are really nice people, and they do. One thing that I really appreciate about this major is like all of my professors treat us like adults, which I didn't really experience when I was taking other classes. So I really do appreciate that. They talk to us like we're adults and they discuss our art piece like we are working artists, and like they didn't see us less because we're students and we're taking classes from them, which I really do appreciate. So yeah, I feel like trust is really important in the art world. You really need to trust whatever you're taking, and whatever you want to interpret it, it's really up to you. And that's part of the freedom you get in this program.
I would pretty much echo everything Jillian says. So
right on. And then the last specific question someone might ask is, what software will you be taught? And I think that I don't even think I could say that's a misconception, because I think that may be inferred that you're going to learn some sort of software or how to do Photoshop or whatever. Um, you're not really taught how to do anything. um, I think 90% of the things I did here were things that I already knew, or I was going to I had to teach myself through wanting to like achieve an end goal for an art project. So there there was never a time where we like sat down in a computer lab and they were like, okay, let's follow step by step. This is how you're gonna make this effect, or this is how you can edit a photo. Um, I at least not that I can recall. There's never been like a tutorial day other than like the day we all were taught how to use the lights. Like one day we went over like how to do lighting, and that was it pretty much. So you may be taught how to use equipment if you like throw that out there to the teacher, like ask to do a lighting day. They may incorporate that just because like that was a really popular thing we did that day, but um like only if you like specifically ask for something, I think, can you get taught for it, which I think also speaks to like how flexible the class is. Like their curriculum will like lead to flexibility and like you being able to learn what you want to learn. So like if there is something specific, like ask the teacher and they'll probably be willing to accommodate for that. um but you probably won't be taught how to use a program. So if you've like never created digital art before and you want to learn how to do something like Jolene does, you're going to have to ask Jolene. Like the teachers cannot teach you how to illustrate or anything like that. You definitely have to take some sort of different class, essentially. Um, were there any programs that you guys thought you like might be taught or anything like that, or did you just kind of assume like you were just going to go in and make whatever, and you more or less knew how to make art already before coming into the program?
Oh, you can go first.
Okay. Well, I remember actually explicitly, like in the very first class I took, like the intro class, we were shown like some Photoshop techniques and all that, like, but not exactly like this is Photoshop 101. Today we're gonna go over making masks, or today we're gonna go over the smudge and the burn tool or whatever. It's
Dodge and burn.
yeah, it's just kind of like very spotty. So yeah, it really is kind of on you to learn those things. And I think, I don't know, I feel like, I guess Photoshop, in my opinion, like really is something that is a program maybe better learned on your own, because it just there's with something with so many applications. um yeah, like to learn it in a linear setting is, I don't know, it doesn't, I guess it just doesn't ring true to me. I don't know, something about that.
Yeah, I remember I feel like the program tried to teach us like technical stuff, but our class just wasn't about it, kind of. Um, and I do agree, yeah. Like Photoshop and like, cause the software is so powerful, you really can't learn everything. So the best way to tackle it is just learn as you go. Like, what do you want to do, and then you Google it, and Google has everything basically that you need. Um, I remember us having like a self-teaching day where we all like do like a presentation of our skills. I don't know if you guys remember it. I remember presenting it. I don't remember the rest of it.
Yeah.
But
Do you guys
yeah,
remember
we
what
definitely
I
like,
don't even remember what I presented.
what did you do? I think you did you do some kind of video stuff?
I thought I. Oh, I
Oh
probably have
no,
it
you
written
did
down.
something about portfolios, right? I think you did something
Maybe.
about like portfolios and
I don't
like
know.
getting domain or something.
I missed class that day, so
I thought I
Well,
thought Takai
guilty.
did that. I don't
I
know.
don't.
I
Yeah, we have a
did some
self-taught
garbage.
day where we all like share our skills and like teach a class how to do some different programs that we know how to do. And I mean, it's an art major. It's not a how to use your camera major. So
yeah,
I feel like that would make sense. Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's important to state, I guess, that if you're like, to boil it down, it really is, it's more about the concept than it is about the technique, I think, in the end, a lot of the schooling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would say at the same time, like, you don't even know how to use a camera to be in this major. Like, uh, I don't know, I probably can't say that, but I don't think you're even if you wanted to go into a program where you want to be taught how to use a program, um, you I don't think that should scare you away from this, because I think you can succeed no matter what, no matter what you turn in and you responded to feedback. I think people will react at least in a positive way, like you're trying something and you're experimenting. So I think as long as you're willing to learn and research for yourself, then you can grow a lot in this class. So even if you've never used Photoshop before, never taken a photo, um, or never have painted or drawn, or you can do literally anything for a project, I think you can put something together at the very least, and then be willing to improve on that throughout. So um, this won't teach you how to do anything to look at, but you can at least go further if you want to push yourself to do that. Like, school is really just the agenda that'll make you commit to creating and finishing a project and getting feedback on it. Um, I think you could do anything we did in this class, minus some of the resources. Um, Kat, now it's not a good time to throw up on the ground. Well, I'll clean that up later. Um, oh man, she's still going.
I can hear that, dude.
Oh no. Oh man.
It's a Kiki.
Want to go outside and throw up on the carpet?
Oh, Kiki.
You
No.
threw up on my. Go on. Come on. All you did was sleep today. You don't need to.
It's hard work, dude.
Here's the vomiter in question, everyone, for the video. All right. Well, minorly sidetracked there. Don't worry about it. What were we talking about? Working on programs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you can literally have no skills and succeed in this class, I think. So, I guess success is defined by yourself. You can pass these classes, but um, whether you succeed or not, that's up to you. Not in terms of like up to you of like completing the work, but like you decide if you think you succeeded. Um,
Well, wait. I think to say you can have no skills and succeed is a bit of a catch-all there. I don't. Like. There's some skill required for everything.
um,
Are you meaning technical skills?
I
That's
guess
what.
like I think maybe I'm just being like overzealous here.
Mm.
Um, but okay, like maybe
I think
okay.
I
I
think
don't.
we're gonna pause here for a second.
I'm gonna have to do some editing here. That's for sure.
I'm
Can you
sorry.
jump cut every
No,
word that I say, please?
no. Okay. You. What am I trying to say? Having skill will help, but I think if you don't have any skills now and you're willing to learn, then they're like there's a ton of flexibility within the course. Um, Certainly, knowing how to take photos and videos will be really helpful, so you can just streamline the process and like just start creating your artwork. But if you want to be forced to learn something, then this is a spot that you can do it. But like if I were to go into computer science and not know anything, like I don't think that'd be a course where I can just like, oh, I'm just gonna start teaching myself computer science as I'm taking this. Like I think I have to have already like been passionate about it before I can go into it. So
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
yeah. Okay, I think that was the bulk of. Oh, I guess one last one was uh, you. We may just cut this out because it's a little redundant, but if you guys want to answer it, you can. Was it the people that made the class worthwhile? And do you think if you were in a different cohort of people, would you still have made friends, or did everything just line up really well and you enjoyed the presence of your peers?
You say the question again.
Do you think it was your peers that made the class worthwhile and a lot more fun? Or if you had a different set of people, you think you may have not clicked and you don't think you would have gotten as much out of the class?
Mm. I mean, I think that's kind of impossible to know, because you can always speculate about it, but you'll never be able to experience anything other than what you have experienced. So, yeah, I mean, I think the people certainly played a big part in my enjoyment of the major and how I went through it, and I'm grateful for that because there's no other way it could have went really.
Stasis and anti-stasis, yeah. What do you think, gentlemen?
One advice: find a group of friends that can bitch about stuff with you. It'll make your life a lot better.
True, yeah.
So,
Um, Never be afraid to diss on someone's art, whether that's in front of them or behind their back. That's one of the most fun things to do. Um, and I think that's what kept all our friendships going. Uh, and you'll probably run out of things to talk about after you graduate because we don't have like a common thing to hate on or make fun of anymore. So it's difficult out here, but We try and make it work. We do things like this to relive the golden age, and that's all we wrote.
True.
Um, any other questions, thoughts, things you guys want to add, things that you wish that you knew before coming here, or advice that you want to give? Any closing words?
Uh, I would say, because this is for everyone that's like interested into the major or like just like curious in general, right?
I'd say
I would,
anyone curious or in high school, or I think even in the major, this would have been interesting to listen to because there's still, even after the first quarter, there's still so much I would never have guessed would happen. And I think that's part of the charm, where it's like I enjoyed not knowing what was going to happen, but even if you watch this video, you're not even going to get like a handful of what's to come. So I don't think this is like spoilers or anything, but fair warning. So
I would say if you can, give it a few quarters before you make up your mind into this major, because what Trey and I have witnessed is that a lot of people drop out after the very first quarter. That's where our class size really shows. Um, I would say give it a few quarters because there's definitely a lot of stuff they need to get used to, like especially for the teaching style and stuff. So don't be afraid to reach out. I was definitely very afraid to reach out to like the our office and like the equipment. It took me a good like 3-4 quarters for me to be able to say, hey, I want to do this project. What would you recommend me to borrow from you guys? So definitely don't be afraid to reach out. Everyone's super nice. Probably the most friendly staff you'll ever meet in a college setting. So yeah, give it a try.
I I couldn't agree more. Never be afraid to reach out because I mean, yeah, it's a scary thing, but you'll feel so much better after you do it. Like that paralyzed me so many times. Like I just generally don't like reaching out, but you'll it'll get you further, get you along to where you want to be when you're more open to you know that fear, I guess.
yeah, I would say one thing I did to try and combat this in myself is like explicitly make a goal of like I'm going to do a project that uses something from the Photomedia Lounge or uses something from the Gear Lounge or I'm going to use something created in the mill and like so set like an explicit goal like oh I'll get to that of like base your project around doing that so you force yourself to utilize these tools because there aren't really many of other ways that you get to use these tools for free. So certainly, yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things to emphasize. And I think one thing, even though I think I did use a good amount of stuff in the 2 years I was there, like I think if I realized that in the very first quarter, I probably would have like skipped one or two projects to do something uh, that at least allowed me to use some different tools. Um, if we experiment a lot, um, and one other thing that I think I learned that I think I always made art for the aesthetics more, and I think after this, I started to create more purpose in my artwork and have at least some sort of theme or concept that would push the visuals further. I don't think that's always necessary, but if that is a thing that you started doing um, at the beginning of the quarter, I think that'll really impress all of the teachers because I think there were a good handful of people that like just created things so they look cool. And that was definitely me with my photos always. So having another layer of meaning um, can be good. And even if you just force it or like just make it up at the time being, like people will still like it. They won't know the difference. Um, so that's another lesson I learned is like yeah, adding some other meaning other than visuals is worthwhile. I think.
Agreed.
All right. Is that about anything? Any other things you guys want to say?
Best of luck to you, whoever's watching this. We love you and hope you succeed.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. We spent like an hour and a half talking, so I we probably said something helpful in this. Um, what are you guys working on? This camera, that camera, this one. Anything you guys want to plug while we're out here?
No, not really.
Okay, yeah. We're pretty underground, so we don't like having people look at our stuff. Um, all right, that's it. Bye bye, everyone.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys.